Hi guys, it's Rain Foxy. So some friends and I have recently been reminiscing on old conventions, memories and stuff like that, and this one story came up and I thought, I should actually make a video on this because I think this is an interesting story. And you've obviously seen the title by now, and I know that sounds like clickbait, I guess, but that's how I introduce this story to all my friends I've told it to. How I almost died at MFF. Now, I've lived a pretty sheltered life. I've had 2, maybe 3 of what I would call not necessarily near-death experiences, but situations in which I thought, wow, this could go really, really badly for me. And this was one of those times. So if you've seen my MFF videos, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about here. So it was MFF 2016, Saturday night. That day I had, guys, I need water. That day I had like nothing to eat. We had like maybe a protein bar in the morning, like a small sandwich in the afternoon, and we hadn't had dinner yet, and it was already like 11 o'clock at night. And our plan was to go to Steak and Shake, but we had to corral up all our friends before we could go, which took a really long time. So by the time we got everybody together, it was, like I said, around 11 o'clock at night. There were, I think, 8 or 9 of us. We were all wearing these Kwigbo's, our cute, very cute animal onesies. We're finally going to Steak and Shake!
Get that shit out my face!
We only had one car, and instead of spending a couple dollars to buy an Uber, we decided we should all get in one car together.
Is your butt gonna fit?
Yeah, I'm in.
We're butt buddies. We're all like so tight. Like our butts have no room to breathe.
Our first mistake. So there were like 3 people in the front seat, 3 in the middle seat, and 3 of us in the trunk. That sounds about right. I have video of us in the trunk, but since I didn't actually release any of that.
He said, son, when you grow up, will you be the savior of the broken?
It was a good time though. So eventually all of us got to Steak and Shake. Yes!
Family dinner at Steak and Shake.
And if you've ever been to Steak and Shake, you know how it is. It's cheap. It's not necessarily good, but it's like greasy food that it tastes good, but it's like horrible for you. And the service at Steak and Shake is always really slow. It's really slow. And since it was so late at night, there was like maybe 2 employees there, and we were the only ones in the restaurant as well. So it took us like 2 hours or so to get our food and finally eat. So I was feeling better, I was food in my stomach, I was ready to get back to the hotel, maybe suit one more time, then go to bed. But we got back to the car and it wouldn't start.
We're outside the Steak and Shake parking lot because Steph's car won't start.
Yeah. I feel so bad.
We were like, okay, try it again maybe, and it wouldn't start the second time either. So after a lot of finagling by, 9 people who knew nothing about cars, we finally figured out that the battery had died, because I guess it was so cold outside or something. We tried to find someone to jump the car, but we didn't have cables. Now keep in mind, this is MFF in Chicago in December. I remember it being about 30 degrees outside at that point, because it was midnight or like 1 a.m. And we were wearing these fleece onesies, but I was probably wearing a shortened t-shirt under it, so I was a little bit chilly. So we're already stranded in a parking lot in a Steak and Shake in like a suburb of Chicago, which is not the nicest area. And we're cold, and it's like 1 a.m. So we're like, okay, make the best of this. So the first maybe 20 minutes or so of us waiting there, because it took us a while to figure out what was going on, and then we eventually called some roommates who were at the con who were gonna come pick us up, but it was gonna take them a while. So we're like, it's fun. We were having, a good old time in the parking lot, and then this car came racing into the parking lot. I swear they were probably going like 40 miles an hour, like too fast for a parking lot. They came racing through, like wheels screeching, and one of my friends decides to dab at the car. Just, okay, and we're like, haha, that's funny. But as soon as that happened, the car screeched around, did a complete U-turn. I keep saying U-turn. As soon as that happened, the car screeched, did a complete U-turn, turned around, and came straight at us. And we were standing in the parking space next to our car, and they were coming so fast at us that we jumped up onto the curb because I legitimately thought they were gonna hit us. And these 4 dudes come out of the car. Now I want you to imagine the creepiest 4 dudes possible. That was them at 1 a.m. alone in a Steak and Shake parking lot. And these dudes get out of their car and they start walking toward us. And I legitimately had a moment where 1 second I swear someone was gonna pull a gun or a knife and be like, give me your money. That was the sort of situation we found ourselves in. There was like 8 or 9 of us in these animal onesies, just huddled together, like scared. So they start walking towards us, and one of the guys is like, what are you guys doing out here? And one of my friends, bless her heart, was like, our car battery died and it won't start, so we're stranded here. And I was like, oh my god, we're gonna die here. Like, I feared for my life in that moment. And Sakun, who you guys should know from my videos, she actually jumped into the car and locked the doors behind her. So, abandoning us, and obviously she wasn't going anywhere because the car battery wouldn't start. So the guy said a couple more things, which I honestly can't remember because I was like scared out of my wits. Like my flight or fight response was like, run immediately. If they took like one more step near us, I was gone. Like I was gonna run. But they eventually kind of backed off. They went into the Steak and Shake for about 5 minutes, maybe less time than that, and I was like, whew, thank God, they're gone. But they came out like 5 minutes later. They got back into their car, which was parked right next to us, and sat there for like 20 minutes, just watching us. Like, I swear they were gonna wait for us to leave or like do something and like take our car. It was legitimately scary, just like sitting there and knowing they were right over there. But thank God they eventually left. Some friends from the con eventually got to the Steak and Shake and rescued us, but we were there for maybe 2 hours. And at that point, Ubers were really expensive, so we didn't want to call them. We didn't want to call the police because there were like 9 of us in that car, and we didn't want to have to deal with that thing. And honestly, none of us are good in a crisis, so it was just like, woo! But again, we got back to the con safe and sound, and now it's a fun story to cherish in my heart. It sure was fun telling my parents about it. So yeah, kids, if you're gonna go to a Steak and Shake at midnight in Chicago in December, please make sure your car battery is good to go, or else you're gonna be stranded there, and you're gonna be cold and miserable and scared. So that was my MFF story. I guess it really doesn't have anything to do with MFF, it just happened to be during that time. But yeah, if you guys liked it, let me know. I probably have some other unfortunate stories I could tell as well from cons. Thank you so much, Munaloo, for being my patron on Patreon and sponsoring this video. You guys should go check them out on wherever. Thank you for not scaring me out of my wits in a Steak and Shake parking lot in Chicago as well. You guys should go check out my MFF videos if you haven't seen them. Kind of put this story in some context. And maybe consider subscribing if you liked this video. And I will see you guys later. Bye bye!